So now we are approaching soft tissue injuries. Which is MCI OR 1.3, 1.4, two lectures on this. But basically, soft tissue injuries, the first thing that we should know is about a wound, how to manage a wound. The second thing is that we should know how to specifically deal with injuries of specific structures like nerves, like vessels. And finally, we have to know how to deal with injuries of viscera or contents of a cavity, like brain in head injury, like spinal cord in vertebral fractures, like chest viscera for respiration and circulation, and esophagus and diaphragm in chest injuries. How to deal with blunt and stab injuries of abdomen. How to deal with pelvic fractures and associated injuries of pelvic viscera. So this is the classification that we will use, but initially we will deal with a wound. So you encounter wounds commonly in open fractures, also called as compound fractures. Now what the basic thing about wound is that wound is open, the skin is bleached, the soft tissue and the underlying structures are exposed, and on these exposed soft tissue there is deposition of dirt and bacteria. For 6 hours these bacteria remain dormant and can be washed off. That is known as contamination, and this is known as the golden period. After 6 hours these bacteria settle down, cannot be washed off, and then they start growing. Against the growing bacteria there is a immunological reaction. So this immunological reaction and bacteria war leads to pus formation and slough formation. Now slough converts to pus, and you must be sure that the pus must drain. And the best way it should drain is that you leave the wound open. Don't close it. But when you leave the wound open, then this wound will heal, but there may be a surface in the wound on which granulation would not grow. For example, a tendon or fascia or exposed bone, then the granulation would not grow on that. Granulation would not grow. For these wounds, you have to give a skin graft to close them finally. And this skin graft can be a partial thickness graft or a total thickness graft. And this total thickness graft can have muscle, pedicle, or it can be fasciocutaneous. So, broadly speaking, this is how you deal with a compound fracture. But now let us see, what does a compound fracture need? So the first thing is stop bleeding by pressure, elevation or tourniquet. The second thing is wash the wound. So that if you are still in the contamination phase, you are able to wash it. The third thing is, don't hold it like this. I will move my area like this so that this will deal with contamination. The third thing is remove all foreign material which you can see. The fourth thing is that you cover it. You can use aseptic locally, which will kill the bacteria, and then you cover the wound so that it is not further contaminated during transportation. The fifth thing is that you splint the limb so that the fractures don't move and damage nerves and vessels. So fractures don't move, so you splint. So there is no furtherance of injury. And then you transport the patient. And one thing you must do, here you must say nothing orally, so that when the patient arrives in the hospital, then he is fit for anesthesia and surgery. So when he comes to the hospital, then you look for all associated injuries, follow a sequence like head, faciomaxillary, spine, chest, abdomen, pelvis, upper limb, lower limb. Follow some sort of a sequence so that you miss nothing. Then you concentrate on the wound. So you inspect the wound or examine the wound, inspection, and what is the site, what is the extent, what is the size, what is the depth, what is damaged. Is it contaminated or infected? In the meanwhile, you prepare the patient for anesthesia and surgery. In the surgery, which is called as wound excision, there is something which is called as inside out wound when the fracture creates a small wound in the skin, or outside in when there's a big wound in the soft tissue which has created a fracture. So the one classification is outside in or inside out. But now there is what is called as Gustello grade. So you have to find out what is Gustello grade, and you have to talk about the Gustello grade. So what do you do in wound excision? Patient under anesthesia, cover the wound, prepare tissue around it. Part preparation of tissue around it. You see, if this is the wound and you have covered it with a sterile mop, then when you are preparing here, this fluid will not go back into the wound and infect it further. So you cover the wound and you prepare the tissue around it. Then you open the wound, increase the size of wound, because small wounds don't drain properly. Trim margins. Evaluate injury. What structure is damaged? And the principle is that you first fix, reduce and fix bones and joints. Then you fix nerves, vessels and tendons. If there is already been delay in reporting to hospital, then you stitch the vessels first to restore circulation. The basic thing is that when you are stitching a vessel, it must be without tension and without rotation. So usually the vessel is elliptical like this, and you stitch the corners first. And the second thing is without rotation and without tension. So you may position the joint to decrease the tension, or you may have to put a venous graft. And the third thing is that you must ensure patency of the distal part. And that you can do by irrigation by heparinized solution. And the fourth thing is that you always stitch a vessel like a bevel, like this, so that when there is fibrosis, it doesn't cause constriction or stenosis of a vessel. So you bevel it. Similar things, nerves without tension, without rotation, same thing with tendons. So nerves, vessels and tendons should be stitched after bones. Then you must shave off all tissue, all foreign material. For example, if this is the deep fascia and here it is linked with and this is the muscle, then you just take off this deep fascia so that this will go. Then you recognized dead or dying muscle by three things. First thing is color change. The second thing is if you pinch it, it doesn't contract. And the third thing, it doesn't bleed. So if a dead or dying muscle, you have to excise it. And then you must decide whether you want to leave the wound open or you want to close it. If you want to leave the wound open and it has no surface on which granulation will not come, granulation will come on all the surface. Granulation minus surface, if there is no granulation minus surface, then you can leave the wound open and cover it in plaster. So a closed plaster treatment of wound was described by Vinet Orr in the Second World War, and it was found to be highly successful because then the granulation would grow, and every time you do a dressing, every time dressing is not needed, so your resources are saved. The closed plaster treatment did better than daily dressing of wound. So this is when there is, and if there is a surface where granulation will not grow, then you have to prepare for skin grafting there or then, or delayed. And the types of skin graft are partial thickness, full thickness. Full thickness are muscular, pedicle grafts and fasciocutaneous grafts. Alright, but whenever you decide to close, you must be sure that there will be no collection, and which means meticulous hemostasis and no dead space. Then you take a culture and sensitivity and you give antibiotics, and you change these antibiotics according to culture and sensitivity. And finally, you give a good nutritional diet, protein rich diet, so that this helps in fighting bacteria and wound healing. So this is the management of wound, and it is also called as wound excision or debridement. Now, how does a wound heal? Wound can heal by primary intention and by secondary intention. In primary intention, in surgical wounds, after you have stitched like this, you have to give a stitch which closes the total wound. So this is the deep stitch, and you have to give a stitch which passes and closes the skin over it. So this is the superficial, and this type of suture is called as mattress suture. This suture, you can appreciate, will not leave any dead space. So this, by mattress suture, you can suture, and then the epithelium will heal with epithelium, subcutaneous tissue with subcutaneous tissue, and deep fascia and muscles with each other. Then there is healing by secondary intention. So if this is a wound, first what will happen, that there will be, this is the skin here. So first what will happen, that there will be blood vessels which will go like this radially and will meet each other in the center. Then there will be pus here, there will be slough here, and the pus has to be, you should ensure that the pus is drained and the bacteria are killed by an antiseptic from above and antibiotic from below, and then you have to remove slough, and you remove slough by hydrogen peroxide and with what is called as U-Sol, Edinburgh University solution, which is hypochlorite solution. So this oxidates the slough and takes it off. The silver nitrate sticks are again used for removal of slough. So the first step is remove slough. Then these vessels will start growing vertically. So vessel here and a fibroblast here, supported by fibrous tissue, start growing like this. So then gradually the wound can come to the surface and the volume of the wound shrinks. So how do you know that the volume is shrinking? You take a saline, you fill the wound with saline and see how much saline it takes for it to come to the surface. And gradually you find the wound shrinks as the granulation grows. Things that can enhance granulation is decreased frequency of dressing, dress by Vaseline base so that it doesn't stick to the granulation and pull it out. So Vaseline based dressing and hypotonic saline or scar liquid. So these are the things that you do to enhance granulation. After the granulation comes to the surface, this is the wound, the granulation has come to the surface. There is epithelialization from all the sides. So epithelialization is again supported by Vaseline based dressing and scar liquid. And then final stage is keratinization. And keratinization, if there's epithelium, there's no pain on touching the wound. If you put powder dressing, there will be good keratinization. Then what happens is something which is very worrisome, and that is that these fibroses which have happened in the granulation, they shrink. They cause the wound to contract. So if the wound is across the elbow here, and it contracts, so this can lead to contractures. So such a wound need not be allowed to heal by secondary intention. It needs to be grafted, and you have to hold the joint in position so that the wound doesn't contract. So this is about wound healing.